free from these issues that have destroyed my life? Well, my friend, I have the answer. Bible Way Hibner Memorial Church of God in Christ presents Chain Breakers, this and every Sunday at 9 a.m. here on WHYL.
From the L.B. Smith Ford Lincoln Studios, Oldies 102.9 is WHYL Carlisle.
Welcome to the Real Estate Radio Guys, your weekly source for all things real estate. We're your hosts, real estate broker John Rainville and your mortgage expert Kingsley Harmer discuss everything from mortgage rates to home staging for foreclosures and everything in between that affect the daily real estate market. Real people, real questions, real answers. Today's show is brought to you by www.pagoloan.com, your source for new mortgage loans. NMLS number 1018. EnviroQuest, trust for home inspections and radon mitigation in Central PA over 25 years. And brokersrealty.com, the easiest way to search for real estate in your hometown. Now, on to the show.
Good morning, everyone. It's John Rainville from the Real Estate Radio Guys. I'm a Pennsylvania, New York, Maryland real estate broker for about 30 years in the business. And this morning, as usual, my co-host is...
Good morning, Kingsley Harmer. I've been in mortgages and real estate and investing for not quite as long as John. Let's call it a couple years.
Yeah, well, remember last week I told everybody this is not gray hair, it's platinum hair.
See, now I tell everybody it's blonde.
Yeah, I can't get away with that.
It just depends on, how the sunlight hits it. And now that it's summer, I can kind of get away with that. At least I try.
So we're going to have a pretty interesting show this morning. We're going to be talking about doohickeys, whatchamacallits, thingamjigs, whammy bobs, anything that you really don't know what the heck it is and how you find them, how you hunt for them, and where you can get them. Our guest this morning in a little bit is going to be Bill Horning. I mean, he's a hardware expert. And we're going to be talking about why you would go to a hardware store over going to a big box, like Home Depot or Lowe's, why you would go to somebody like True Value, and what some of the differences are and what some of those folks bring to the table. Later on in the show, we're going to be talking, of course, with our favorite home inspector from EnviroQuest Inspections, John Stas. And John's going to be talking with us today about some things, windows, doors, screens, storm doors, which this time of year, hopefully we get some more time to open and shut them. And, how those play in, in a home inspection, obviously, but things that homeowners need to know about them. So, folks, we're up live on our Facebook live stream this morning. And remember, you can also hear us replays on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, iTunes. I mean, we're out there in a lot of different places. You can always reach out to Kingsley or I if you'd like to get a copy of any of our shows as an MP3 or on our videos. If you have questions today, the number to call in is 717-249-1787. So, Kingsley, what are you seeing going on here in the mortgage arena here this past week?
Well, honestly, not a whole lot. As far as changes, rates have ticked up just a tad, but I mean there hasn't really been a whole lot to anticipate. So the market's just kind of holding its own.
So still no free money out there, but pretty close because the rates are. I always say it's almost free money.
Everybody does. Yeah, I mean, come on. I think about it. Like I said the last time. I looked back on our interest rate that we got when we first bought our house, and it was, about the same as that we've got going on now. So, and actually it's still less. You can still, if you're a well-qualified buyer, still be in the mid-4s.
In the mid-4s?
Yeah, and we even have...
Wait, whoa. I thought we were in the 5s.
You're
not keeping me
I said well-qualified buyers.
Right.
That's not everybody that's going to qualify for that. But for those that are out there... that are putting a nice sizable chunk down and have good credit scores, it's there. And one other thing that I'm actually kind of excited about is our jumbo rates.
Well, I was going to ask you about the jumbo rates because somebody was asking me.
Are still in the upper 4s to the low 5s, depending on how much you're putting down in your credit scores.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yep.
For a jumbo?
Yep. And that's as much as 90% LTV.
No way. I would have thought that we would be like 5 3/4.
No, I mean, 5 3/4 is a tough one to hit. I don't even think I have a rate that high, regardless of what's going on with the down payment and credit. I would think maybe 5.5 would be your cap right now on those, even the jumbo rates.
Even on the jumbo rates?
Yeah, so right now our jumbo programs are spectacular. So if you're out there looking to buy, give me a call, 717-200-4800.
So before we, get into, Bill Horning here in a few minutes.
And of course, that's not an approval subject to underwriting.
Good. So, a lot of people, I mean, we have to do a show on this, but 15-year rates, just about how much of a difference is there in a 15-year rate right now? 0.5%?
Yeah, ish.
Really? So, I mean, that still can be if someone's like refining, I know a lot of times when people refi, they may only have 15 years left, but it could still pay them because maybe they were at a 7.3. And
I think there's a few big box names out there that are pushing that whole refinance and save money to 15 years. If it's in your budget, absolutely. It's certainly not going to hurt. If you've already been paying your mortgage for 7 to 10 years and you're at a 4.5 to 5.5% interest rate, it still may benefit you to refinance. Because you're going to cut, and you think about it, if you've already paid on it for 10 years, just by refinancing down to a 15-year, you're cutting out 5 years of payments off of your overall cost. So let's say you're making $1,000 a month. I'm just going to use that as an easy number. That's $60,000 you would save yourself in 5 years.
Yeah,
just by refinancing.
But there are other reasons to refinance where you may not have been in there that long, right? To get rid of like private mortgage insurance, because that can be a huge savings, way far and above what the savings would be on the interest rate. So it goes beyond just interest rate.
Interest rate is really just kind of an index, as far as where the market is. But everybody's situation is different, so. You may need to take somebody off title. There's a million ways or reasons to refinance, but right now, obviously, refinances are down. They're not pushing them quite as much because before they would sell rate as opposed to actually benefiting you. So if you're looking to take money out of a house to invest in maybe a rental property or a second home, there's a million reasons to use the equity in your home. Now, of course, coming up, I think we have a show with an actual tax advisor to discuss the differences next year, in the tax laws and the implications that we may have as far as whether or not it'll be beneficial to you. And, of course, you want to, check with a tax advisor for your own individual needs when it comes to that.
So still a good time to refinance, and it's not always just interest rate. You may have been in the home a couple of years. You may have done a lot of improvements, and it could potentially now have enough equity into it where it really makes sense for you because you might be dropping your payment realistically, $100 or more. And, I don't know, $100 is a lot of money to me because all our listeners know I'm frugal, right?
Is that the word?
Well, Big Dog says I'm Amish cheap.
Amish cheap?
I'm Amish cheap. Amish cheap. So the regular real estate market here, briefly is, still chugging along pretty good. We had the normal, June slowdown because of, Memorial Day. Then you've got graduations. You have a lot of June brides.
Vacations.
Yeah, it's a little bit early. I think now we're just getting into vacations, but we're definitely seeing an uptick in activity in the market, and it's all good. But folks, if you're thinking about selling, please reach out to us. Use Kingsley and I as a resource. There's no obligation for us to give you the information. You can always reach me at 717-554-7430.
So I think today we're going to be talking about Doohickeys, Thingamabobs, and whatchamacallits, right? I think we're going to find.
correct.
I think we're going to find out where you can get yourself a pair of dikes, and I think there was a couple other special tools.
Hey, you're going to call in here,
if
right?
you will, to figure out what you can use in landscaping, household items. And, most people go to, the big box hardware stores to do that. And I think that there are better ways to do that.
Well, there's a lot of resources, and what we're going to find here, I know Bill's calling in here in just a minute, is the depth of experience that he brings is just, amazing. And because that's what I get when I go to a hardware store like his.
And I hate to say that I don't actually use his because it's a little, hike for me. But I have one around me. It's an Ace Hardware store, and I utilize that store more than you can imagine. I mean, going up to Home Depot is great if I'm sitting there getting ready to buy a whole truckload full of stuff, or if I'm rehabbing, et cetera, and it's got a lot of stuff. But if I'm the average homeowner and I have no clue what's going on, this is where I go. Right here.
Right.
Now, this happens to be Hornings up in Lincolnstown, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, hey, nice.
Yeah?
Hey, isn't our new video software sweet? So,
Yeah, I'm having
so
fun.
Look at that. There, you got a picture of Bill's store on the screen right now.
I do.
And so, good morning, Bill. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing awesome.
Fantastic. So I know you can't see our Facebook feed live right now, but Kingsley actually has the picture of your store up on our screen on the internet. So can you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, what your background is, because you've done other things besides just being a hardware store expert, right?
I guess you could say that by default. I ended up being 24 years on Lower Paxton Township Board of Supervisors, and also a fourth-degree black belt, and a family and a father of 5. So, yeah, I've had my hands full.
Wow. And you've also done some extensive remodeling, rehabs, and what we call flips in the industry. So you're also an experienced real estate investor, and actually you have more than the average bear's handle on construction techniques, and remodeling, correct?
Yeah, when you buy old houses and you have to flip them, and you find a lot of, which is to say, you get very creative in solving the problems. We were not the typical rehabbers, unfortunately. I think that's why we slowed down, because we put our goal was we didn't finish until we would move in and live there. And that created a little higher level of rehab costs that we could compete in the market. So we did about 20 houses, and we decided to slow it down, and we do one every year or so.
So how long have you been in the hardware business?
32 years.
Wow. And where's your store located at?
In Lincolnstown, right off the exit, 72B off of 81. And people used to think of us as a mom and pop, but now we do close to $6 million. We have about 55 employees, and we do everything from rentals to mower repair, sell parts.
Are you on a cell phone and a bad signal area? You're kind of cutting in and out on us a little bit.
Let me move to another spot.
It's probably all
I am on
hardware.
a cell phone because my wife also has a craft business, and unfortunately she decided that we needed to set up a craft booth at the Beauty After Abuses over in Dillsburg. So that's where I'm at right now.
Oh, very nice. You get around.
Yeah.
So I've been going to, and I think I spoke to you a little bit about this, my local Ace hardware store, if you will. And the reason that I go to the store is the knowledge and the expertise that I get when I walk in. It's almost like, I'll use the analogy, the old, what is it, the Midas commercials, where you had the people walk in and, hey, my car's doing, and and you had to try and figure out what that meant from the sound that the people were making. And it's kind of similar to when I walk into a hardware store and I say, I don't know what this thingamabob is, but I have to replace it because it's leaking.
Or our saying on all our doors says, we speak doohickey.
Exactly.
That's perfect.
Yeah, what's this doohickey?
Yeah.
And
So
obviously,
that's kind of what we're about. You're right.
and in
Go ahead,
today's day and age, and you can obviously attest to this, when somebody walks in, everybody is a do-it-yourselfer these days, right? So,
Well, yeah. A lot of people are struggling from paycheck to paycheck, and so a lot of times they need to learn how to do it themselves. You're right.
And a lot of the stuff, I would think the average household guy can do. It's just a matter of whether or not you're brave enough to tackle certain things. And I think a lot of us, like me, have tackled certain things, got into it a little bit too deep, and then end up at Ace saying help. Now I've got 3 inches of water in my basement because I thought I could, cut the main line and put my own bathroom in.
Well, that happens, unfortunately. Yes.
So what are some of the common things, Bill, that people come into your store for?
A lot of things, we range from plumbing to paint to lawn and garden. Our biggest department by far is lawn and garden. And so, how to get that beautiful yard that makes everybody proud. And so that's what we're all about. And we talk about, when somebody comes in and goes, I want this fertilizer, we stop them and say, well, wait a minute, what are you trying to accomplish? And then we go from there, because many times what people come in for isn't really what they're after, but with that lack of not having some expertise in that area, they hear a commercial, they hear this or that from their friends, and they have these ideas of what they're coming in for.
So usually with the hardware store, we don't normally think, I don't think about lawn and garden, but you even carry like pool chemicals. There's a whole bunch of different things that I know I run to pick up, and you guys carry such a cornucopia of products. It's really amazing.
Whew.
Was that a big word?
Cornucopia. Wow. I think now that we have all these slideshows and everything, I think our show has just took a new turn to a little bit more sophisticated.
So, Bill, when someone comes into your store, sort of lead us through So I'm coming over there. I'm looking for a thingamabob. What happens when I enter your shop store and I'm looking for something I have no idea?
Well, we train our people to look for. There's different kinds of customers when people come in. There's 3 different kinds. One's a mission customer. He knows he knows where it's at. He knows what he's doing, and you need to stay out of his way. Whereas the other one's coming in, and you can tell by them looking around, they're not sure what they're looking for or where they're going. So they're the ones we try to follow up rather quickly with, and typically within 30 seconds, the goal is to have somebody asking you, what can they help you find? And so from there, we take it, of course, with a series of questions to figure out what's the best solution for your problem. Because we're not looking at selling the most expensive item, or we're looking at getting the job done usually for as cheap as we can. And that's one reason why we even rent things, because if we need to, we send the customer over to rental and say, hey, you need this, you need to use this. And a lot of times we even give people or loan them tools. Like if you come in and you're replacing a stem in one of your faucets, we'll loan you tools to do that with no charge. So we try to be as accommodating, and our goal is to be the cornerstone of the community. So we do a lot of things, dog permit licenses and dump permits for the local Lower Paxton Township facility, and we try to be there for everybody. And we repair lamps, and we even have a guy who comes in a wheelchair, and we fix his wheelchair for him. Do it all.
Wow. So, I know I'm not going to get that at one of the big box stores, because usually those people, they're just going to tell me, I think that's in aisle 7. And
yeah.
Another thing I like about your shop is I don't always have to buy like a whole completed components. Sometimes I'm able to actually come in there and just get the part that broke.
Well, I tell people we're like the general practitioner of the medical industry. We're not. If you're going to rehab your bathroom, that's like a surgeon. You go see the surgeon. But if you just you got a common drip, you come see us because we're going to help you fix that, and we're going to show you how. And the one thing we really love is we love to empower women. I think all too often. I have 7 sisters. I came from a family of 10 kids, and 7 of them were girls. So I have a little place in my heart for women who are trying to, repair things on their own. And so that's where we excel. And so that's our goal. We empower people.
So do you also carry things like drywall or lumber, or is that sort of out of your guys' wheelhouse at your place?
We stay out of the lumber business. I tried getting in that one time and found out that that's a different animal. And so we have convenience lumber, but after that, we stay out of that business.
Okay, so we've got, like, if I need an electrical repair, we've got that. If I need a plumbing repair, if I need paint, what about paint?
Well, we carry Benjamin Moore. We try to. The other thing I think that ACE represents is high quality, and so and because of that, we carry Benjamin Moore. We also carry a brand called Clark in Kensington, which has been rated #1 by Consumer Reports in some magazine. I don't remember the exact years, but lately. So we try to give people a selection and yet the high quality, especially when you're painting. It's not one of those jobs you want to do twice.
So I can actually come to you and bring something that I may need matched, and you guys can help me out with that.
Yeah, we have a color computer that people bring us bed sheets. They bring all kinds of pillows off their couch, and we match that. Yep.
So indoor, outdoor paint. I'm seeing a lot of people, they're like staining their concrete or something now. What's up with that? That's one of my favorite things is people have a tendency, and I tell people, don't paint your concrete because when it peels, it creates a really ugly area, and you have to sand the edges in order to get the next one to match. And however, I found if you stain concrete, of course there's some procedures you need to follow, as acid etching and things like that, to make the stain last. But if you stain concrete, it wears off, and where it wears off, you can quickly just take a brush and brush some more on there. It looks like a brand new job again. So I tell people, don't paint concrete, stain it. That's the best thing to do. And that's something a homeowner can do. That's not something I've got to bring a contractor in to do, right?
Right. Easy. I mean, a roller and a brush and a can of stain, and you're set. Now, again,
so you can stain
it. Go ahead.
You can stain it after it's already been there. I mean, I always thought you had to stain concrete as it was being poured.
Well, that's another way of doing it, where people actually put the staining material, the pigment, in the concrete, and that's another way of getting it done. But if it's already down, the best way then is to stain it. I'll tell you a little story. One time I started when I first got into business. We used to have a couple places we rented out to help pay for the rent, and as they moved out, we filled them in. But one had only concrete, so we stained the concrete to try and get it to look nice, and that thing lasted for years. And what happened was where everybody walked, of course, it wore away. We just touched it back up again. It was amazing how long that lasted. That's where I learned about staining concrete.
Really? So, coming to you, we can learn a little bit more, and you will actually tell, somebody if they're coming out, sort of how to do the job, the particular job they might want to do. My big dog, our producer back here, he gets upset with me whenever I'm replacing like outlets or light switches, because I sort of like to go on guts, Bill. I don't like turning off the power.
I don't either. Wear sneakers and don't touch too much while you're doing it. That's the key there. But another one I would want to talk to, and I want to get this out because this is another area that people make a huge amount of mistakes in. And what's the first thing you grab when you're going to stain your deck? What's the first piece of equipment you usually grab?
Kingsley. I'm going to grab Kingsley to help me.
Okay.
What's the first piece of equipment? The stain?
Yeah, you grab when you're going to stain your deck.
I'd say a power washer.
Right. It's the worst thing you can grab.
Why?
And because what happens with most people, now you can use a pressure washer, but you got to be very careful. You got to keep the nozzle a foot away from the wood. Here's what most people don't understand is that, have you ever seen a deck where it's all cupped out and it's kind of got a little tiny ridges in it? It looks like ripples in it. That's from somebody pressure washing.
Yeah, that's because they use too much pressure, right?
Right. And what this happens because what happens as it's convenient to use a pressure washer, get it closer when it's dirty. And really what they should be using is a detergent or special cleaners for cleaning decks. But what happens when you do that, if you were to look at it under a microscope, it would look like a ball of steel wool. And what happens is you defray, all the fibers in the wood come up, and then they break off. But in the meantime, you're staining it. The stain's going into the fibers, which ends up breaking off as you walk across it. So your stain doesn't last as long. And the other factor that comes out of it, you blow out the soft wood that's between the grain, and it leaves these little cupping, if you look at little ripples, and the water lays in there and rots your deck out quicker. And so it has a lot of negative things to do.
Now, isn't that part of actually how you lay the deck, too? Having, I don't think most people, when they lay a deck, they actually look at the lay of the wood grain itself, do they?
No.
And if you flip it to a certain way, the water will actually, once it gets into the wood, will actually drip through the wood grain?
Well, it gets into the wood and eventually rots it out, depending on how much sun it gets. Now, if it gets a lot of sun, of course, it dries it up quickly and draws it back out again. But if you're on the north side, you don't have that advantage.
Interesting.
So the best thing to actually is sand your deck. And we'd have deck sanders we rent. And if you want to get the nicest finish that lasts the longest, that's the best thing to do.
So you're supposed to sand the old stain and or paint off first, as opposed to pressure washing it. Interesting.
Right.
All right. We're actually going to pay some bills here. And we're going to run some commercials. So please stay on the line. We'll be right back.
All right, thanks.
The Real Estate Radio Guys with John Rainville and Kingsley Harmer. We'll be right back.
Searching for a home online morning, noon, and night, looking at website after website, clicking contact me, and nobody does? Missed homes that were sold before you knew they were for sale? The better choice is searchhomesinpa.com. Search if you want, or they'll do it for you. Contact by phone, email, or text to adjust your search, or to tour a property. Start online. They'll call you back at searchhomesinpa.com, or call toll-free 855-919-HOME, and they'll do it for you. Searchhomesinpa.com, 855-919-4663.
Everyone wants to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, if only they knew the best way to do it. Hi, I'm John Rainville.
And I'm Kingsley Harmer.
And we're the Real Estate Radio Guys. We bring over 40 years' experience to talk about all things real estate.
Weekly, we'll discuss the latest trends, hot topics, along with tips and techniques that could save you thousands and eliminate headaches.
So tune in to the Real Estate Radio Guys, Saturdays at 8 a.m. here on WHYL 102.9. Real topics, real answers for real people.
Buying or selling a home? For professional home inspection, call EnviroQuest of Harrisburg. Their certified home inspectors will conduct a thorough inspection and provide a detailed report with many pictures. They'll explain the findings. Do you have elevated radon levels in your house? Call EnviroQuest. They have fixed over 10,000 homes over the last 25 years. For a professional home inspection or radon mitigation, call EnviroQuest at 233-6144, 233-6144, or visit EnviroQuest online at evqharrisburg.com. That's evqharrisburg.com.
Back to the show, the Real Estate Radio Guys with John Rainville and Kingsley Harmer.
So good morning. We're back. We're talking with Bill Horning from Horning's Hardware Store. And, everyone forgot to turn off their darn ringers today. So it goes to Big Dog, and I'm guilty too. I thought I turned mine off. Sorry about that, folks.
Obviously, you guys haven't been to church in a while.
Well, because yours was going off last Sunday, I'm sure. So I have put up Bill's website onto our Facebook feed right now, too, so you can click over. Bill, what are some of the specials you guys are running right now?
We have a lot of tools, DeWalt things and things. When I say drill bits, things for your drill and things like that. I'm not sure where you want to go from here. I have a list of things here that I like to talk about because people like the deck, like staying in concrete. They usually start off down the wrong path, and then we have to redirect them into a better solution.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about that.
If that's all right with you.
That's fine with us.
Okay. One of the things that a lot of people come in and they fertilize their lawn, right? That they want their lawn to look beautiful. Well, the government, in an infinite wisdom, decided that because there's phosphates are getting into the bay and causing algae to grow, that we need to stop putting phosphates on our lawn. The problem with that is that phosphates are a prime requirement for things to grow and your grass to get thick. And although it doesn't need a lot, it needs some application of it on a routine basis. And so when you go to buy, whether it's Scott's or Ace brand or whatever brand you're looking at getting, you'll see that the middle number is 0. And that can be a problem over time.
So it's a regular process, right? So if I'm having any issues like with my deck or my yard, those are things I can actually come in and I can sort of get like a freaking consultation with you guys, it sounds like.
Right. And we train all our people to talk about these. And so one of the things we recommend for this situation is a lot of times putting an application of starter fertilizer down, and you can even overseed at that time.
Okay.
So
you made mention too, though, like you sell like DeWalt. You actually even sell power tools.
We do sell some power tools. It's not our specialty. In any retail business, you have to find that niche where it works for you.
Right.
I tried power tools, like I tried lumber. I tried a lot of different things, and there's some niches we ended up keeping, and one of them is nuts and bolts. We actually carry over 5,000 different nuts and bolts. If it's made, we have it.
That's
and
a lot
we
of
have
nuts and bolts.
It is. And, 5,000 different kinds. And so anything from stainless, galvanized, metric, to hardened bolts, we carry it. So, all kinds of like anchors and
so you're
whatever you need.
You're proud of the fact when somebody says you've got a lot of nuts.
Working for
and
us
hardened
too.
bolts.
And bolts.
And bolts, yeah.
So I was actually on your website this morning, and one thing that I didn't realize is that you guys actually do rentals. Is that correct?
That's right.
So what kind of rentals do you actually do?
Well, one of the things that's real hot right now is, of course, aerators. And you know what most people do? Let's see if you guys can get this. What is the one thing people typically do when they get their aerator? What else do they do to their lawn at the same time?
You got me.
I don't know. I've got Weed Man. Weed Man comes and does mine. But yeah, so what? I don't know. What do you do when you aerate a lawn?
Well, what most people come in, they want to seed at the same time they aerate. And that's kind of the worst thing you can do.
Really?
I mean, because what happens is most of the seed, if you get any type of rain, will wash down into the holes and won't germinate. Because if seeds put certainly more than a half an inch in the ground, the seed won't germinate. The goal is a quarter inch. So obviously, if you're aerating and then you add seed on top of it, it doesn't work too well. Waste your money. So that's another common mistake or myth that people do.
So if people want to rent power washers, do you have those?
Yeah, we rent those too, especially for those decks, Yeah,
I was going to say, not to do the decks.
Right.
But, I mean, this time of year, you get a lot of houses that where there's not a lot of sun and you get a bunch of mildew and or kind of moss and whatnot growing up on the side of a bunch of homes. So I would imagine power washers are a common thing over the summertime.
We rent a lot of pressure washers or power washers. Here's another thing that another myth while we're talking about pressure washers is pressure washing is siding. We sell another product that's called spray and forget. And I always laugh about this because everybody comes in and asks for it. I think there's some type of message that when in the name spray and forget, and because people can't remember it, I guess it's suggestive. I don't really know. But you spray that on your siding, and you wait about 2 or 3 weeks, and it takes all the green and the mold off the siding. Now, if the siding's dirty, it doesn't fix that. But if it's moldy or mildewy, it fixes that. And it keeps it away for about 2 years.
Really?
So, Bill, I'm actually cruising on your website right now while we're talking with you. And so now I see that you guys speak Hardwarean. I like that. But it's not the typical, things. I mean, people should be going to your HorningsTrueValue.com because you got some cool videos up there, like how to replace a shower head, or for my people, I'm going to start sending them there because I just watched the video there on how to help the curb appeal of your home. You got some great stuff on there. What a great resource!
And if you have questions, call us, and we'll answer because not everybody's the same, and we try and make it personal for their particular situation. But
so how have you seen the hardware business change over the last few years? Have you seen some major change? I mean, because they were ringing the death, bell for you guys a few years ago, with Walmarts and the big box stores. But I prefer to go into a shop like yours because I get the right stuff. I seem to go home and have less stuff I ever have to return.
Well, the key is ask the questions of the person walking in the door to find out, make sure they get the right product. We sell obviously 20-some thousand different products, but to make sure you guys get the right one, we have people are trained and they're trained to ask questions, not just come in and say, hey, I'm looking for this, and we go down and give it to you. Our questions are, what are you trying to do with it? And that's where it comes really, that's where we come key.
So you're sort of like my job, my business on the real estate side. It's all about the service.
Right, it is.
It's all about serving that consumer and what they need, because everyone's different. I imagine every day for you is different. You never know who's going to walk through the door or what doohickey or thingamabob they're going to be asking for. The other thing, a lot of times, because of your experience, here, different ways, it sounds like to me, that a project may be able to be done. It isn't just set that there's only one right way to do it. It sounds to me like a lot of different workarounds and variations and things.
And that comes from the experience of working in hardware and then working in flipping houses. And as a realtor, every house is different. And it has its own problems or issues.
Yeah, they do. I mean, our buddy John Stas at the home inspector. I mean, he always points those things out to us every time we go out on a home inspection. And you're right. Everyone's unique and things. I mean, I always see new problems or new issues, that get pointed out to us. So that's interesting. So what is the best way for someone to contact you or come out and visit your store?
Well, they can call the store at 717-545-1222, and you see that on the website there, or they can, and if they want, my staff is approved to give out my cell number if they don't know the answers. So if they get stumped, and call in and see if you can stump them. They'll give you my cell number. You can call me directly wherever I'm at.
So we can, what, Kingsley? That sounds like something you'd like to do, try and stump the hardware expert. I bet you can't do it.
I've probably had a few things in my day that stump me on a daily basis, but I doubt it would stump him.
Well,
I'm sorry.
Did I just stump you?
You just stumped me stone cold.
All right, hold on. What's the phone number again?
Bill, give us your phone number one more time. We're putting that up across our video feed for you.
Okay, 717-545-1222.
717-545-1222 is the best number to reach out. And what days of the week are you guys open? What are your hours that you guys are open over there at Hornung's?
7 days a week. Sunday, 9 to 5. Saturday, 8 to 8. And then the rest of the week, 7 to 9.
Nice. So Kingsley and I are going to probably stop out and see you in the next week or so because we're looking to build some stills. Now that I just stopped you, Kingsley, they just give me this look like, what are you talking about?
I know, I'm a chemical engineer, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh, well, so he'll be able to help us, Kingsley.
I don't know what he's talking about. I know nothing. There used to be a TV show on about how, you became outlaws because of moonshining.
Oh, I thought that was just for, like, digging up the ginseng roots or something.
Right. Yeah, they even had to build, like, a special car to get away from, the authorities.
Well, now it's marijuana everybody's growing.
Well, now it's legal, so it's okay. But, and I guess stilling is legal, too.
Yeah, I think it is. You can do it in your basement now.
Yeah, fabulous.
See, I told you he'd be able to hook us up and show us the right parts, the right pieces of copper and stuff that we need to build one.
Have you ever made one of those?
Back in my chemical engineering days, but it was a little bit more elaborate than your home still would be. But we could dummy it down and make it work. But
see, I've told you couldn't stump him. Man.
I thought I would.
So that's interesting. So you were you're a trained chemical engineer.
Mm-hmm.
Be careful with advertising that.
A lot of people come in and ask me, "You're a chemical engineer. How do you know?" They ask me questions related to chemistry. It's not necessarily totally my strong point, but being in the business for a long time, I understand most of it.
Interesting. So here we are. I had your website. It's horningshardware.com, HORNUNGS hardware.com, right? 717-545-1222. And if you think you can stump the hardware guy, I highly suggest stopping in and giving it a try. And the first person that does, and you know what? You give us a call back, and somebody came in because of our radio show and mentioned the radio show and says, I was able to stump the hardware guy.
What, you're going to give him a free mortgage pre-approval?
Well, yeah, we have free mortgage pre-approvals anyway. But I think we have a farm show thing coming up, don't we?
Oh, what, down at the Barnstormers?
Yeah, is that the farm show thing going on?
Yeah, I'm going to be down there at the Barnstormers tonight. They had one last night. It's farm show weekend and the Lancaster Barnstormers. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
What? So if they want some tickets or something to give us a
well, yeah, if they're able, they got to stump the hardware guy first.
Okay, yeah,
so
we can do that.
If they go in and stump the hardware guy, let's give them a free set of tickets. And if those tickets aren't available, I'll come up with a set of tickets to something.
Well, you guys put me on the hot seat now.
Well, I want to see how many people actually come in and try and stump you.
Well, that would be cool.
I mean, we can't even do the stills, so we can, make a whole game out of this week to week.
Uh-oh, it's going to get serious now.
Oh, yeah, it's going to get serious. And, we're going to step up, I think, from week to week, the severity and the level
Lord.
of stumping you. So, in other words, we're going to give them bigger and bigger incentives, which means you're going to have people coming into your hardware store left and right just to try and stump. We'll even give it a name, Stump the Horning.
There you go. I'm going to put that on my website.
Stump the Horning.
I like that.
There you go.
I think we just came up with a great marketing plan for you, too.
So, Bill, I mean, Kingsley and I will probably come out and introduce ourselves maybe next week in person at your place because now that we know that you can guide us on the right parts to put together a still. Kingsley's wife's not real happy about this because we're going to be doing it in their backyard.
Oh, great.
Hope she's not listening.
Well, I'm sure she probably is. I just got a text message.
The only requirement is that you invite me over to share.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
From my understanding, you can make gallons of this stuff. So, hey, it was a pleasure having you on. And at the end of the day, I mean, the lesson learned here is you've got the big box stores, but they don't have that personal attention, to give to them as far as, purchasing something, or especially for the do-it-yourselfers that need to, ask a question on maybe what to use, or they need a little advice. They should come to your store. Visit them online, HorningsHardware.com. Give them a call, 717-545-1222. And we really appreciate you coming on. I hope our listeners learned a lot. And at the very least, hopefully they know that you're up there in the Linglestown area, or at least, your local Ace Hardware store. It's a whole lot better than having to drive all the way up to, the next biggest shopping mall. So thanks for coming on. Have a great weekend. Hopefully it'll get a little bit more sunny out.
Yeah, I hope so, because I'm out at the event down here at Dillsburg for Beauty After Bruises, and it's kind of a little wet.
So wait, before you go, give us just a real quick rundown on what you're at right now, the Dillsburg event.
The Dillsburg event is an event for craft, people who sell crafts, but it's also for people with kids. They're having a huge amount of games for kids, unusual games, and so it's going to be a lot of fun. If the rain kind of holds off the way it is now, I think we're okay. And so if anybody has some kids and they don't know what to do with them today to entertain them, bring them down here to Dillsburg, the county, I guess it's the county fair or something, Dillsburg Fair, I'm not sure what it's called. But a lot of good things going on here. And it's all for a good cause, Beauty After Bruises. I've been drinking some of that still wine, I think.
Oh, well, there you go. They have the still down at the Dillsburg Fair. Get on down.
Go down there and see if you can stump Bill today. Stump Bill. All right, Bill, you have a great weekend, and Kingsley will try and swing out next week and meet you in person. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
So
I could have sworn he said they're selling crap.
No, crafts.
Well, that's what I thought he said, though. I'm like, well, what? How does that get me to want to go down there?
Like poo animals or something?
Yeah, like, fertilizer or something. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. Is this kind of like a big event for Dillsburg?
You're doing pretty good there, with this new studio software technology. So I have to apologize to some of you guys there on Facebook. We're actually running a video board in addition to Big Dog sitting in the back and running our radio soundboard. And so we're having a little bit of some learning issues, but we do appreciate your feedback on it because, we're learning this, how we shoot the slides in, Kingsley and I both have faces for radio, so we didn't think it was a big deal if we blocked our faces, but I guess some of you don't like that. But each week we're going to keep tweaking this a little bit more because we're actually broadcasting out to more stations every week on the internet. Soon you'll be able to watch our Roku channel in addition to our live stream feeds and our Facebook feeds. So that's where we're sort of going with our business. But this morning, of course, we've got our favorite home inspector on, John Stas from EnviroQuest Inspections here in central Pennsylvania. Good morning, Mr. Stas. How are you doing?
Hey, good morning. How are you guys doing?
Good. I know you guys are like us right now. You're swamped, aren't you?
Yeah, we're pretty busy. It's usually busy in the spring. The real estate market is especially hot right now.
Yeah, I got to give you a special shout-out. I really appreciate you helping my one agent, Carrie Goldberger, out and getting that inspection set in for her for next week because it was a critical component for them in order for them to accept her offer, was being able to have you guys. So really, John, I really appreciate that because, you accommodated her and it helped us close the deal.
Awesome. Thanks for calling our service.
Yeah, well, people don't realize that right now. It's that competitive. So, in a lot of these offers, it came down to is how fast can you have the home inspection done? So, once again, thanks for doing that. So we're talking today with you about doors, windows. We were just on with your buddy, Bill Hornung. Very interesting guy. Hey, John, he's going to teach us how to build a still.
Awesome. I didn't know he had that knowledge.
He's a chemical engineer.
Yeah.
So we're going to invite you when Kingsley and I go over there to learn how to put this puppy together.
Test the finished product.
Yeah, so we can test the finished product. Yep. All right, so today we're talking doors, windows, screens. Go ahead. What's on your mind here this morning?
Yeah, so as that relates to a home inspection, some of the things we look at are, what type of windows are they, casement, single hung, double hung, so we note that in the report. We test, of course, a random sampling of the windows for operation. We usually try to get as many as we can. Obviously, sometimes they're blocked. There's not enough time to test every single window, but we get a good feeling for what type of windows are in the house, how they function. We look for safety issues. Like some of the safety issues we find would be often common in older homes where you have the sashes that don't stay up. So, of course, fingers getting smashed. That's a typical home inspector injury. You're in an old house, lift up, unlatch the window, and the top sash falls down and smashes your fingers. So that's happened to all of us home inspectors who've been doing it long enough. So we look at function. Some key tips, a lot of times, we're testing, like, let's say some older replacement windows. They make a lot of noise. They're hard to open. That shows you that the mechanicals are in poor condition, so we always point that out to the customer, as opposed to a high-quality, newer window where they're nice and smooth operation, easy to open, don't make any noise.
John, I've got a question for you about storm doors and front doors, So I was told years ago that, like the insulated steel front door that most of us have in, any of the newer homes now, that you had to be careful with putting a storm door on there because that sort of would like bake it and kill the insulation in there in the steel door. Is that true?
Oh, bake the door?
Yeah, it would you would get the heat so hot that like whatever's inside that door, the foam or whatever, it would actually degrade the insulation in the door. Is that true?
Well, the sun's going to hit the door. One of the things you can do is paint it a lighter color. When the door is black or a dark color, you know, the door. So that's one of the key factors is the color of the door and, of course, the direction it's facing. If it's facing south or west, it's obviously going to get more sunlight. And, I mean, the foam can degrade. Usually the UV light is harder on the foam than the heat. But, the heat is one of the factors for degradation, aging of that foam that's in a door.
So, I mean, and I probably should ask somebody else this, but I know you probably have a good handle on it. So, even though, let's say my house is about 15 years old, and I just went to using the air filters that don't let the boulders come through. So,
the boulder catcher.
Yeah, the boulder catcher. So, has the door technology changed? I mean, down the road, even though I'm like 15 years old, is that something that maybe some of my doors I might make sense for me to replace?
Oh, yeah. The technology is growing by leaps and bounds. It's amazing. A lot of the places are adopting stricter building codes where they're requiring higher R values, higher air tightness. Yeah, the two main factors, doors and windows, are one, the air tightness, how well does it seal, and two, the R value, how much the heat transmittance through the assembly. So, that technology is increasing. I know I went to a seminar on Windows a year or so ago, and there a lot of the big window manufacturers, the builders are asking them, hey, we need a higher R value. So they're experimenting with different glass configurations. They're experimenting with different types of gases. The double insulated window, 2 window panes with a gas between the panes. So they're experimenting with different gases to try to increase the R value.
One of our listeners is asking us here on Facebook, what's your opinion about putting storm doors on a newer home?
Well, sure. I mean, the storm door is always nice because, maybe you have a solid door and you want that sunlight to penetrate through. So it's great for that. It's great for, we have some rental properties, and a lot of times we have an old leaky door assembly, an old wooden door that's pretty leaky. We'll put a high-quality storm door on there to stop the air from going through. So, if you don't want to replace your door, but you want to allow that sunlight through, you can upgrade your storm door, get a nice, full glass door that's higher quality, doesn't let any air through, or doesn't let as much air through, and then, then you can open your main door to allow that sunlight in.
I like the idea that they have some of those now where it's a full glass, but you can actually slide it up to a point where it's all screen somehow. Have you seen those?
Yeah, I've seen that. They, sometimes they have removable glass that you can take the glass in or out, or
maybe
take
half
the glass
glass.
out
You
and
can't
screen
have
in.
full glass and pull
No,
out
the glass slides up into the door.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they have ones that are full glass. You can remove that and put full screen in. And they have the ones, the sliding ones, like you mentioned. That I always like the half screen windows because, especially being a home inspector, we're fumbling around trying to get a full screen out, like where the window has that half screen. We just slide the screen up and climb out onto the roof.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, my dogs enjoy that I have screen doors and screens in the windows because sometimes if I start cooking, the chow gets a little bit antsy. She's like, what's he going to burn now?
Nice.
Yeah, a homeowner tip, one of the things, a lot of times people say, well, my heat bills are really high. I need to replace all my windows. The other hidden or less known factor is leakage. A lot of times you can increase your thermal the thermal integrity of your house by just caulking and sealing. Caulking old windows, figure out where the leakage is, weather stripping. There's a lot to be said for that. You stop that air. That's the big factor in insulation is air leakage. It's called wind washing. When the air, especially insulations like fiberglass or cellulose that are blown, wind washes that R value right out of it if you have wind going through the insulation.
Interesting. So, and obviously if you need some of that insulation or window seal or door seal
or screens repaired,
head down to Hornings.
Yeah, Hornings Hardware in Lingelstown.
Yeah.
Folks. And try and stump Bill because we're going to give away a set of tickets. I think Kings is going to give away a big set of concert tickets, maybe.
Concert tickets? Oh man, now he's stepping me up. We didn't get to that point yet. That's going to be stepped up over the weeks, I think.
So, John, before we go, buddy, any soccer this weekend?
Yeah. I'm actually at a soccer tournament right now on the beach in Wildwood, New Jersey. Huge soccer tournament.
What?
Nice.
So you use soccer as an excuse to get everywhere.
Oh, yes, definitely an excuse to be on the beach.
So did you figure a way off to write that off?
Oh, yeah. No, I don't know how to write off soccer, but it's a lot of fun. We're down here.
We had Kingsley's
attention.
It's not
raining right now, so hopefully the rain holds off a little.
Write off soccer? It's got to work with baseball and football games, too.
All right,
now you got me thinking, huh?
Have a fantastic weekend. Good luck at the soccer tournament. Glad you're here and having fun down there at Wildwood.
And we've got you as far as contact for ebqharrisburg.com. As always, I've got it up on our screen right now.
Yeah, it's looking good.
Yeah, and what's the best number to get a hold of you?
Best number, 717-233-6144.
Fantastic. So give our best to the kids. Good luck this weekend, man. Talk to you next week.
Hey, thanks, guys. Talk to you next week.
So, I have to hand it to you here, Kingsley. You're doing pretty good here with this.
This is starting to get fun. Wait till I start getting the videos and the animations going.
Yeah, you're doing a good job, folks. I mean, you'll have to watch for our replay, on the Real Estate Radio Guys on Facebook. If you need a link to that, let us know. If you have questions, on real estate, you want to reach out to me this weekend, it's 717-554-7430. That's my personal cell phone, folks. If you're New York, Pennsylvania, Maryland, be happy to talk with you. Actually, I'll talk with you anywhere in the country. I just might have to lie to you if you're in some of the different states. And Kingsley, what states do you do mortgages in now?
PA and Maryland soon coming, as well as Florida and California.
Nice.
Yeah, New York's going to be a very lengthy process, apparently.
And I forget what's this mortgage company's name that you
Residential Home Funding.
Well, that makes perfect sense.
Yes, it does.
I like the logo.
I like it too. Thank you.
So congratulations on the new company. I know you're getting ready to open up a new office.
It's actually being renovated right now.
Right. Where's that going to be?
It's 3466 Trindle Road. So it's right in the heart of, right there in Camp
Right there in
Hill.
Camp Hill.
Right across from Giant